Hello, welcome to Microfiche Microphone. I'm Micah, and on this channel we look at old microfiche, which are old newspaper articles, and we discuss them with a modern eyes, our modern sight. So these are all historical articles that are no longer under copyright and are in the public domain, which means we are able to read the entire article. So today in our Microfiche time capsule, we are looking at the London Magazine from 1768 in January. This article is entitled Odious Practice of Taking Bribes. So be aware also that this article from this time, they used the letter S. It looks like an F. Okay, so be aware of that as you read. Sir, Port C, December 25th. As this is a trading kingdom, and the increase of our riches depends in great measure on the proper regulation and encouragement of our manufactures, which employ many thousands of our poor, the wisest heads and most steady minds are to be considered as essentially necessary in the choice of our members. Okay, that makes sense. So you want to have wise people working there. How much do we deserve all the miseries we labor under, while we dispose of those privileges we so favorably enjoy, for 2 or 3 dinners, or the trifling consideration of 4 or 5 guineas? How sensibly do the lower class of individuals experience the prejudicial effects of such favors, and how often do those of superior rank find themselves disappointed in those promises which they are made to believe shall be one time or other remembered in their favor? So it looks like what's been going on is that you could pay people to... I'm trying to decide what kind of people these are supposed to be. Are they like government officials, or are they like middle class, or like it's supposed to be granting favors? So in order to do favors to the lower classes, I mean, this is what I'm trying to get out of this, but it just says those of superior rank. I mean, I don't know what that means. I mean, are they like government people, or are they like soldiers, or are they like government workers? I don't know. It could also be merchants. I guess maybe all of the above? I'm not sure. Are not the generality of our members chosen without either knowing or once inquiring into their characters, merely from partiality to party, and our vicious propensity to be subdued by the 2 prevailing influences of bribery and corruption? So it sounds like they're elected officials, like governors or things like that. House of Commons, possibly? I am sorry there is occasion to make use of such odious appellations. It is surely very inconsistent with the sentiments of rational beings to submit to be miserable for 7 years, only to be happy, if we may be then styled so, for a few days. Is not this setting the worst example to our children, whose crimes we must be answerable for in another world, and causing every succeeding generation to be more corrupt than the preceding? That is a great question. So what they're saying is that their elected officials are known to take bribes and to do people favors who give them money. And, okay, it says, I don't understand the 7 years and few days thing. Okay, it is surely very inconvenient with the sentiments of rational beings to submit to be miserable for 7 years, only to be happy, if we may then be styled so, for a few days. I mean, that almost sounds like you're talking about drug use or something, or were they like elected for a few days, or was their election term 7 years? I'm not quite understanding this combination. Or are you saying that you had to work 7 years for the money to get the favor that you wanted for a few days? That's not at all clear. Whoever wrote this was being very vague. And I suspect it was intentionally vague, but at the same time, it's overly vague to the point where I'm not quite sure what they're talking about. Like, you went a little too far in the vagueness there. Okay, while this continues to be the general characteristic of our electioneering, and we are thus noted for such ignominious conduct, is it to be imagined that gentlemen of fortune and generous principles will be inclined to serve us? On the contrary, while we are thus to be swayed, may we not rather be likely to fill our Senate with a majority of members who will not scruple to vote away all our most valuable privileges, and involve us in that state of misery from which it may never be in our power to emerge? Yeah, that's the point. So if you elect somebody who is willing to take your bribe, can you really trust that person to vote in a way that you feel comfortable? You can't. You can't trust that person later on. I mean, because they could just vote away all of your rights and privileges. Yeah. In short, every bad consequence may be expected to follow from such imprudent conduct in our parliamentary elections. W.R. with a CK at the end. Rick? I don't know. You got an excellent point. It's kind of a catch-22, isn't it? So if you choose someone that you can bribe to give you the favors you want, to give you the permits or whatever that you needed to do your business, and in return, and you also vote for them because you know that they'll give you what you need if you just pay them enough money. So then they get elected, and now they're making choices for you and everyone around you, which may or may not be what you want. And considering they can be bribed, then they can be bribed by somebody with more money to then vote against you. And the next thing you know, you've lost everything. And that's what the correspondent is saying. In a very, very vague way, which makes me think that this person actually knows someone who can be bribed and is trying very hard not to use those particular circumstances that he is very well aware of, because he doesn't want to get in trouble or that person in trouble. By the way, I am assuming gender of the writer because back in these days there were very few women correspondents, so I'm assuming that was a male correspondent. I find it very interesting, and they make a very good point on this point. So, don't elect officials who can be bribed. And luckily today, we have laws against that are quite well enforced, I believe, as long as your system is not corrupt. The entire system is not corrupt, which I sincerely hope it is not, wherever you may be living. Anyway, I thought that was very interesting, that is this warning against corrupt officials, and it totally makes sense to me, and I'm just a little bit sad that it was even necessary, but I understand why it was. I hope that there aren't too many corrupt officials where you are. Leave me a comment below if you have any experience with something like this, and join us next time. I'm Micah for our next Microfiche time capsule.